Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, let us try to understand how the loss is computed in case of simple RNN. So, let us say this is our RNN. I am omitting the ith symbol here because we are just taking it one sequence at a time. So, what happens is we use the input, perform the nonlinear activation over dot products, we perform nonlinear activation over linear combination to obtain the output for each position. So, we get the error at every position. So, for example, the loss at tth position is a function of the actual value and the predicted value. So, in case of classification, we can use cross entropy loss. So, this is a loss that we incur, this is a cross entropy loss that we incur at each position in the sequence. So, the total loss due to the prediction can be obtained simply by summing across the sequence length. So, we obtain this loss at each position, and in order to calculate the gradient of the loss with respect to the input, what we do is we use an algorithm called back propagation. So, in case of RNN, it is called as back propagation through time or BPTT. So, you can see that the output over here is actually dependent on output over here, which is dependent on this and this. The output over here is dependent on the input and the output of the previous state. So, each of these outputs over here are through this link dependent on each of the input variables and the outputs of all the previous states. So, we use back propagation through time to calculate the weights that minimize this particular loss. A few minutes ago in this session, we said that simple RNNs suffer from vanishing gradient problem, and we also said that there is a neat trick that was used to make changes in the architecture so that vanishing gradient problem can be addressed. So, let us look at the modified RNN architecture that takes care of vanishing gradient problem. It is called as LSTM or long short term memory. So, beginning with our simple RNN, so we had this architecture for simple RNN where we gave a feature vector corresponding to each position as input, and we obtained output for each layer. And in addition to the input feature vector, we have a recurrent connection which is the output from the previous node, that is also used as an additional input for calculating the output. In order to solve the vanishing gradient problem faced by the simple RNNs, because they cannot really remember information from some previous node. So, we add a provision to carry information from previous node and use that as an additional input while calculating the output. So, now in case of simple RNN, we just had the input vector of the particular position and the recurrent connection. In case of LSTM, we have an additional input which is carry, which is some information from previous states. This is simple enough so far. Now, you have to figure out how to decide which information to carry on the carry line. Let us try to understand how to decide that particular information, and we will be using the same strategy as simple RNN for deciding what to carry in the next state. Let us understand that through a pseudocode. So, the output will be computed based on the dot products of the output from the previous state or the recurrent connection along with its weight, the input vector and its weight, the carry information and its weight and the bias term. We add all these dot products and biases and apply nonlinear activation on that to get the output at tth position. In order to decide what to carry further, we define 3 different nonlinear activations on some dot products. So, we define the first output I underscore t, which sums up the output from the previous state or from previous timestamp and its feature vector. Then this is a linear combination or this is a dot product between the feature vector of that position and its weight and the bias term. F underscore t is calculated by applying nonlinear activation on the dot product between the output of the previous state and its feature vector and dot product between the feature vector and its weight vector and the bias. K underscore t is again calculated in the same manner. So, all these 3 numbers are calculated based on activation applied to dot product between the recurrent connection or the recurrent information and its weights, adding that into a dot product between the feature vector and its weight, adding that to the bias term. And the way we decide the next carry is by multiplying I underscore t with k underscore t and c underscore t with f underscore t. C underscore t is the carry coming in and this is the formula for deciding the carry for the next stage. So, let us try to demonstrate this in a picture. So, here what we will do is we will insert a small block to calculate carry. So, here we calculate the new carry, and that carry is passed on the carry line, and we also pass the state information coming from this box to the next box. So, these are architectural details, and most of the time we find these architectures through some, and most of the time we find such kind of architectures by doing search in the architecture space. The details of how to do this search is beyond scope of this course, and what we will do now is we will take this LSTM model and try to use this in practice to solve some of the problems related to text and time series forecasting. So, this is the LSTM model. The only change that we make is we use a carry information and we perform additional computations to decide what should be carried to the next state. We learn the weights of feature vectors used in all this calculation through the training of these LSTM models. You can see that because of these different operations, LSTMs have far more number of parameters as compared to simple RNN, but LSTM models are quite powerful and they are showing state of the art results on lots of sequence learning tasks. Let us experience LSTMs in action by going through some of the practical examples. Okay. So, let us use RNN models to obtain sentiment of movie reviews. So, we will use IMDb movie dataset. In this example, we will use movie reviews from IMDb and we will use RNN classifier to predict the sentiment of each of the movie reviews. The output here is a binary output. The review can either be positive or negative. We begin by importing the necessary libraries and downloading the movie review dataset using TensorFlow datasets. This dataset comes with an inbuilt subword tokenizer. After downloading the dataset, we will shuffle the dataset and we use padded underscore batch function to obtain the training dataset where each sequence has a fixed length. We also used padded underscore batch method to obtain the test dataset. Let us come to the model creation part. We are going to use RNN models over here. Here we use a bidirectional model on top of LSTM. The bidirectional wrapper propagates the input forward and backward through the RNN layers and then concatenates the output. This helps RNN to learn long range dependencies. You can see that the rest of the part is pretty familiar to you because we have used it again and again multiple times in this course. So, we take the input which is text and pass it through the embedding layer which gets us a vector for each word. We embed each word into 64 length vector. We pass the output of embedding to bidirectional layer. So, the output of bidirectional layer is passed to a dense layer with 64 units, and we use ReLU as an activation function. The output of dense layer is passed through the output layer, which is again a dense layer with a single unit, as we have binary classification problem here, and we use sigmoid as an activation function here. Let us define the model, compile it and look at model summary. So, you can see that embedding outputs 64 numbers and the bidirectional LSTM outputs 64 numbers for each direction, forward 64, backward 64. So, concatenation of that results into output containing 128 numbers. The dense layer outputs 64 numbers, as we are using 64 units here, and the final layer outputs a single number. Let us look at this architecture through the illustration. So, we start with text. We have embedding layer followed by bidirectional LSTM followed by a dense layer and one more dense layer, which is an output layer. We have already studied embeddings, so let us focus on bidirectional LSTM. So, this is how the LSTM models work. So, we have, let us say, an input sequence of length t. So, let us say these are all LSTM units. So, here we are passing the recurrent connection in this particular direction from left to right. We actually get 64 numbers from this LSTM. So, there is a small correction here, we are not really collecting the output at each level. So, we are essentially passing that output to the next level, and we are not really collecting them, we are collecting the outputs only at the last layer. And in bidirectional thing, in the other pass, start with last word and do LSTM calculations and pass the recurrence from right to left, in a sense, because we started with the last word and we are going up to the first word. And then both these outputs are kind of concatenated. and we get 128 units from this. So, we start with LSTM model where we take an input so we have LSTM model that outputs 64 number for input at each position. So, this is the forward pass because the output of tth position or ith position is being used as a recurrent connection in x plus ith position. For example, the output of x 1 is being used as a recurrent connection for x 2. So, this is called the forward pass. In bidirectional one, we also define some kind of a backward pass where we start the activation where we pass the result of ith node to I minus 1th node as a recurrent connection. For example, for the second position, the output of the second position will be passed back to the first position and will be used as a recurrent input. And what we do is we combine or we concatenate the outputs of, let us say, at first position the forward pass and the backward pass. So, since here we are outputting 64 values each, the concatenation outputs 128 values. So, we perform this concatenation at each position. For example, these two will get concatenated, or these two will get concatenated, and each one of them will output 128 numbers. And these 128 numbers are passed to dense layer, which has got 64 units. After setting up the model, we will train the model for a few epochs so that we get to experience the output, and we store the progress of the model in the history object so that we can plot how the model training so that we can later plot how the training progressed. The training usually takes longer to complete because we are trying to train on a large data set. So, as a homework, you should go through the training process and check out the results on the test set. So, you can use the evaluate function on the model and obtain the test loss and the training loss. If the prediction has probability greater than 0.5, we mark it as a positive review, otherwise we mark it simply as a negative review. So, we will also check out how the model performance affects when we give sample text without padding and with padding. Ideally, the model should learn to ignore the padding, but you will experience that there is some effect of padding on the output. So, now that we have trained our first model with a bidirectional LSTM, we will try to stack up couple of bidirectional LSTM and get model with more complexity. Let us see how to stack up different LSTMs and obtain the model with more capacity. So, here we define the first bidirectional LSTM model. Here we put return sequence is equal to true, so that we get output from each node. Each LSTM outputs 64 numbers in each direction. So, the concatenation that happens in bidirectional LSTM will result into 128 numbers coming out of this particular layer. The second bidirectional LSTM will contribute to 64 numbers that will be passed into another dense layer, followed by an output layer. We can compile the model and look at the model summary. At this point, I would encourage you to stop the video and print the model summary and look at the number of parameters for each of the layer and also look at the output shape of each of the layers. After looking at the model summary, we will fit the model and use the trained model to calculate the loss and accuracy on the test set. Just in case of the earlier model where we used a single bidirectional LSTM, I would also encourage you to look at the predictions from the model with and without padding of the text inputs. So, this is the first example where we used bidirectional LSTM for predicting sentiments of movie reviews. We will have couple of more examples of using LSTM models for time series forecasting and for text generation. That is for the next session. Hope you are enjoying learning these concepts and getting excited about using LSTMs in practice. See you in the next session. Thank you.